Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Uxtsuki. In this video, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about styles, but I won't talk about how to define or how to find your style. I just wanted to discuss just a bit about what makes a style very stylistic, where this styles usually emerges from. So I picked four pixel artists that I like in different styles. I think there is one more style that I wanted to discuss, but I think it won't increment more than these artists already increment. So even though there is way more styles different from these that I will show, it would just be one more an example. I could go like this forever. That's why I just picked these four. So it's not about these are the ultimate styles or there is only these styles. It's not this the idea. The first style is the cuteness. So how do you transmit cuteness into your pixel art? I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, but I'm pretty sure that is something like Cocefi or Cocefi or Cocefi or Cocefi. CCF is one example of cute styles. How this artist achieved this such a unique and cute style. The first thing I wanted you to look at is in saturation. As you may or may not notice, most part of the colors used in this art piece is high saturated, like high saturation from like 50 or above, right? Most part of the colors are something like this. This evokes the feeling of happiness or the cozy, like the warm and the bright of colors, right? So not warm about the temperature, but more about how comfortable they are for our eyes. So this is a very important trait of cute pixel art, high saturation. The other thing is soft edges. So even though we have a lot of cubic forms, they do not have hard edges. So whenever you can check open, there are a lot of circles, actually curves, and even on cubic forms, as I said, the edges is actually a bit rounded by picking the isometric, but not fully committing into it, so actually breaking the forms. There is a lot of curves or like circular ovals and ellipses going on, but also even the things would be pointy. It's not that pointy. You have either antilization or not fully committing into edges. All right, also there's a lot of shapes and symbols out there to reinforce something. So for example, this that would be a wood log or something like this have this surreal, like this spiral in it that is different for example this tree, but this tree is a bit more like rounded. So if you cut, probably you would have this sort of surreal. We also have a lot of texture. So for example, the shaded part of this tree actually have texture. These diagonal stripes of lines alternating darker colors give the feeling of texture. As well, the grass that looks like a carpet over something solid, for example. And we also have a lot of symbols. So we have hearts in here, we have circles in here, we have a swirl, and so on. So the cuteness of this art piece is transmitted by this thing. So we have saturated colors, we have lack of pointy edges, we have a lot of use of curves or circular shapes, we have a lot of symbols and texture. This is a gift, so there is these animations that complements the whole point, but even if this were an aesthetic image, this would be read as a cute thing. Here is the second example of the Cocefi. So as you can see, as I said, first we have the usage of circles or curves rather than pointy things. We also have shades being made with texture. That is a really good thing from this artist. So if we understand how cool this looks, we also have a lot of saturated colors. And as I said, we have a lot of small symbols that complement the idea of cuteness. Lastly, we have this one that differently from the others, we have way less rounded edges because actually we have just few edges in here, so the rest is inside of the silhouette and they are very rounded, right? So we have this spot, we have this jester, we have this cherry, we have the plant, we have the mushrooms, we have this chicken, we have this, I think, a live briar duck, I think. We have these plants as well. So even this end of wood planks floor, they do not have hard edges, alright? A lot of symbols, as I said, and here, differently from the other parts, we have a lot of desaturated colors in this region, for example, but things that are outside of this part, this one as well, we have saturated colors. So it's not about every single color is saturated, but the focal points usually have a lot of saturation going on. This is the point. But I want to introduce another version of cuteness. The artist that made this and the next two pixel art, Syosa, a Japanese artist. And here, even though we have a lot of saturated colors, we also have a lot of softness that is made with desaturated color. So we have this feeling of this is actually is smoother and desaturated, but it's because their metallization is made with these desaturated colors. We have a lot of roundness, as I said, but this is an exception because of these later parts. Even though this creature, werewolf, is very aggressive, we are still keeping the feeling of cuteness because of the stylization. So even though we have more pointy things in here, it's not that less cute, mainly because of the symbols as well. We have this hair lace, we still have the hood idea. So if this wolf without this lace and this hood were a bit more desaturated utilization, for example, this would stop being cute and become more realistic. We also have this example. As I said, we have a lot of curves. Something that I didn't talk about is the proportion. Usually, cute things have either two type of proportion. So either the size of the body is the same size of the head, so actually have a 1:1 proportion of head and body. This makes everything more childish, so actually being naturally cute. Or either we have a very exaggerated version. So actually, if you, for example, we think about a character that is just a huge box but with a small head, this is also able to be cute. So usually the proportion of the cuteness is either a child like baby one that we have the size of the head being the same size of the body, or either we have a very exaggerated shape language. But this Syosa does not use exactly the proportion to transmit the idea of cute, even though the eye is very big compared to the face. So actually these give the feeling of baby or child face. The rest does not exactly follow this logic. So even though these proportion, these colors, these shapes, and everything else, as I said, could be used to transmit cuteness, you are able to combine different other things if we are not following the other one. For example, in this one, as I said, the eye plays a huge role of cuteness, as well as the colors of the outfit, and the outfit as well, as I said, the symbols of cuteness. These, for example, we have huge eyes for the face, and we lack pointy edges. So usually, except the hair, this part of the hair that jump out of the silhouette, we have a lot of curves. We have soft edges, right, and the color as well. Now let's go still stylistic and not necessarily realistic, but we have an artist that really have a huge range. So these art, these and the next two, is made by a pixel artist called Full. This guy is just amazing, and most part of Full art use a lot of realism in a lot of ways. In the light behavior, we have also the colors relationship or how much they are saturated compared to the rest of the piece. So as you can see, even though we have some saturated colors, most part of them is actually 50 or below. This lack of saturation plays a huge role in this realism part. I'm not saying that necessarily this one is a realistic pixel art. I'm saying that if you're trying to transmit more realism, you would need to pay attention to color saturation as well. So for example, this piece right here, we have a lot of hard edges. There is an animation of this, but I actually wanted to just to download the normal image of it, as you can see, we do not have a lot of saturation going on. And actually, if you think this is a face, we have a pretty realistic proportion of the eye and the rest of the face. As well, these backgrounds. So these backgrounds have the realism of the light. We have the lack of saturated colors in here. We have a lot of proportions between the things that compose this whole scene. As I said, I'm not saying that this does not feel like pixel art. I'm saying that if you're trying to transmit a bit more of realism, you have these supporting pillars that you might just embrace. Last, we have this Kenneth Fejer or Fej. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. This is not necessarily different from cuteness or from realism, but I wanted to point out one thing. I talked about clusters and how you are able to make things without clusters necessarily, because usually a cluster is to transmit texture or details, so you're not forced to use clusters. And this and the next pixel art from Kenneth, you can see the lack of cluster, so things is not polluted or either defined. For example, this tree does not have any leaf here. Here we have an implication of leaf. Well, we do not need them in order to read this as a tree. So I am saying once more, it's not that you need to use every single part of pixel art in order to make it feel pixel art. This style that is more clean, like clusterless, is really good as well. It's really cute and beautiful. We also have this portrait of Gaia from the same artist, Kenneth, and as I said, these lack clusters. For example, in the face, we cannot see clusters implying that the level, the height of this face, and this is still being readable as a face. So you do not need a lot of clusters. For example, the hair is very simple compared to how crazy we can go, but it's still really good. Just remember that any pixel art styles can be whatever you want from them. So we have the, as I said, support pillars such as cluster, usage, color, saturation, symbol, edges, polygons, or spheres, the theme, the subjects we usually want to use, the proportions of the body of the subject. Any of this could be used in order to transmit cuteness or realism or cleanness or nice, anything. It's just up to you what you're gonna go with. Alright, so thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.